ResponsiblyRadio.com. The short version of the word ideal in Ideal Network stands for I do everything around life, love, liberty, and laughter. And there's much more. Thanks for listening in, and share this with the people that are most important to you. Now on to our show with Darlene Sartore and Peter Mingles. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. For many of our listeners that may be unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingles. We started Building Fortunes Radio. Oh, you know what? It was about this time in 2012, around December, where we started doing our first couple of radio shows, and eventually we started doing Building Fortunes Radio at the beginning part of 2013 on buildingfortunesradio.com. So if you're unfamiliar with this stuff, you might want to check it out. Well, as I was doing our radio shows, I knew that I needed radio show guest hosts, and I was talking with Darlene Sartore, who's a customer of ours originally, and when we were talking to her, I always loved how Darlene had a brilliant mind, how she was always super duper into helping make a sustainable life, if you will, of doing things the right way and improving stuff that was happening in her local community as well as her family as well as the world. And I said, you'd be a great host on Building Fortunes Radio. So if you go to idealnetwork.biz, you'll be able to see some of the things that she's done on the domain name. But the most important thing is you plug in with the radio show, because that really kind of brings you up to speed on the things that she's been working on. And over the last couple of years, we went from empty nest for Darlene to now she's got a little bunch of people in her home, including her great-great-granddaughter, I think it is. And we've had all kinds of really cool radio shows where we're talking about stuff where we go through the evolution of what it's like to be able to effectively make a difference in this world. So might be able to do that in your world as well, and we're going to start to talk about some of that stuff as we get started on Building Fortunes Radio. So thanks for being here, Darlene, on your own radio show.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter, for stepping forward and being the person that you are. It's people like you that are foresighted, but yet have a common sense about it. When we were doing dynamics of what we were first doing, you know, you had a program that you were working with, and you still have, of course, is the making sales or making excuses. And that's one of those eye-opening, to me, ideas of understanding, you know, we're either out there making a difference or we're making excuses for not making a difference. We're creating ideal situations in which to live, or we're not creating them. And so I got spurred on. I really went through a tough time this year, as so many other people have with this pandemic, with, you know, feeling to the point of hopelessness and helplessness after this last election. Our lives have been snatched from us. We've been spiritually hijacked. We've been emotionally hijacked. We've been financially hijacked. Everything that could be thrown at us has been thrown at us over this last year. And when you told me about this situation with these air filters and actually having something that we could combat physically that can be proven to kill this virus, this supposed we're talking about, you know, I wish I'd known about it when my mother had heart surgery and developed toxins afterwards. You know, she actually developed and become overwhelmed by the infections in her legs from where they took the veins out. I've had nothing but bad experiences. A near-death experience while I was in the hospital from medication that, or actually, well, from what they put you to sleep with, anesthesia. There we go. And I've had a lot of challenges over the last couple of years with losing the ability to think about. I know something really, really great, and I can't think of the word. That scares you. You know, when you realize that, you know, I'm 76. I'm a young, as far as I'm concerned, still a Springs chicken. but my body's starting to say, yeah, not so much. You need to take care of it a little bit better. And there's things that have been just really coming against us as a society to try to kill off the elders. They look at us as a drain on society rather than being the values that we have from our experiences that we've lived through in the last 100 and something years. People don't realize that we actually lost America in 1913. People don't have a clue on the large scale of people I'm talking about. There are a few people that understand what went on at Jekyll Island. There are people that learned about the energy non-crisis that Lindsey Williams discovered from the oil well, the oil cartels in Alaska meeting. And we discover bits and pieces, but we've never had a way to network it together where we had something that was so overwhelmingly, notoriously wrong until this election. And as I was listening to somebody this morning describing what they did and how they did this, it was one of those, wow, you can't help but, admire the evil ones. How they can know how to target us and enslave us. And we say, we don't even realize that we're saying, yes, master, yes, master, yes, master. And what he was talking about was how they targeted these specific areas where the fraud and deception would go on, and how they went about manipulating this, because it goes back to Hillary Clinton was supposed to have been elected, and they kind of didn't. They didn't do what they were supposed to have done, and what they did, they threw billions of dollars at it. Still lost the election. So they backtracked in the last 4 years, and they figured out, where did we make our mistake last time? What did we not do? We put all those billions. It wasn't the billions that it was targeting where the loopholes, where the weak spots are. And how can we make this happen? And so he was rambling off where, so far, they found all these ballots that weren't supposed to be ballots that were counted, and they suddenly materialized or whatever, and et cetera, et cetera. And when I started hearing what was going on, and then I hear that the Electoral College is not going to do what they should do, is to protect us, we the people. They've fallen right into the scam. So my first thought, I'm going to say, well, when I first heard about these air filters, oh, yeah, right, another one of those scam the people, blah, blah, it's another one of those network marketing, blah, blah, blah. But, it came from Peter, and Peter has been very, very good about being able to point me in the direction away from those who've been taking advantages in the past. So maybe I need to take a look at these air filters. Well, I got convinced from what Peter's evidence that he pulled to me and et cetera, that these could be definitely what we need, especially when there's one I can carry around in my car and take with me, and et cetera. And then Tom Carey, who is one of my dear friends with the Congregation of Inspiration, he and I go back a long time with Neotech and Neothink. And I was telling him, I sent out a little blurb to what I was doing, and Tom has worked with in the past the Neothink group. Our dynamic is all about fully integrated honesty, and that just aggrandizes the publishers. Well, at one time they were going to put an affiliate program together, and that keeps falling through. But they talk about anti-neo-cheaters and anti-mysticism. but all of their letters appear to be filled with mysticism and with meal cheating. Well, that's how people sell things sometimes. Peter and I are not that way. We can't tolerate people that use that kind of marketing. But we have left ourselves open to such a high degree of accepting corruption and not addressing what needs to be done. I go back to, and with another group, the people that I was working with this morning that would meet with the Education Committee for the Republic, and we were talking about the 9/11 Truth Movement. There was plenty of evidence, but no court in the land would take it on and look at it. And I said, the heroes of that 9/11 were the plane that the people took control and crashed it and sacrificed their own lives to save a building that it was targeted for. So we have to find the great people that are willing to make the sacrifices that are necessary to save those of us who have some idea of what we can do. And I really did think I had another 4 years, and I'm still hopeful that we will, to then not have to release some of the things that I feel like that I do not have the testing finished to prove these intentional communities will work on a global scale. There's a lot of testing that goes on, and this is one thing we call the split testing, where you take things and you try it one way and you try it another way and you see what one works the best. Well, most of us who are in marketing, or most of us are in any kind of research and development, we realize that you have to go on with split testing. Well, they're offering a vaccine out there that's not gone through split testing. They're offering a vaccine that could cause more harm than good, and nobody is really questioning it. Desperate people do desperate things. And so it seems to me that these air filters can't do any harm, but they might just do some good. And so that's what I'm approaching everything that we're dealing with, is it can't do any harm, but it could do a lot of good. And so this is how I approach the longevity products that builds your immune system. That's one of the things that in health we want to do, is to build our immune system. We want to build our communities up by building our small businesses. That's what David Allen Capital is all about. And this is what we now have with the Building Fortunes program, the .net one, the buildingfortunes.net. We have a way to be able to help individuals in the process of building their fortunes by doing something really good. Okay? Now, maybe we need to lead with something else besides the dynamic of building a fortune, but I like the idea of building a fortune ending this pandemic. Okay? Something that gets people's attention. So that's what Tom Terry and I and Peter, and we're putting our heads together with how can we market this. And one of the things that Tom, who is, like I said, the Congregation of Inspiration that he does via the radio, and we're going to start doing it more by video and things like that, is to take this to the world by understanding that this is a perfect way for churches to do fundraisers. This is a perfect way for people who are doing any kind of good, the veterans organizations. Let's get these air filters where the people are that are already doing good, and be able to, the nursing homes, because it's one of those things that the loophole, so to speak, is put in the code, the IRS code, for the big guys. And the big guys know how to structure their systems so that the IRS doesn't bother them. They don't have to report to the IRS, because we are definitely a religious organization. We are faith-based organizations out there that are living the spiritualized life of doing good. I often call ourselves, and we put it on the website, that we're building the USA Republic, spelled with the CK at the end, .net. And we're talking about calling all light bearers or light workers, do-gooders, light workers, and hell raisers. You know, people that say, I'm not going to take this being taken advantage of. There's got to be solutions out there. And I think that's what's happening is we are bringing these people together. And the other thing that I saw today was an article at The Hill. Let me bring it up right quick, make sure I got it the right. At our education meeting at 1 o'clock my time, Central Time, on Wednesdays, Mondays and Wednesdays, we do the education call for several of our groups, and one of the websites that we've been building for this one group is just what I mentioned. And in today's conversation, we got to talking about who are the people we can trust out there. Who is it that we can? And we've been building a resource page to put onto that website. And we were going down through the list and clarifying, and a couple of them that I was not aware of, as they were mentioning them, I would bring it up. The Epic Times, one's called naturalnews.com, okay? And this one says, the Epic Times calls on Trump to take decisive actions to save the Republic by invoking the Insurrection Act. You know, we've been talking about, and I think I might have maybe mentioned it in the past, the possibility they might declare martial law if things became violent. You know, well, you know, it might be too late for him to do that if it happens after the swearing in or whatever might have happened. But what needs to be done now is there is enough evidence to prove that all of the people that have been involved with this vote fraud are treason. They are acting in treasonous ways. And this is what the Insurrection Act is supposed to do. So then I went and did a little more exploring, and I found another site out there that says that North Carolina senator is calling for the Insurrection Act to be done. So maybe we need to call our senators and our representatives at the federal level and ask them about this Insurrection Act. What is it involved, and does it reach that level? Is there enough level of treasonous acts that he needs to bring to justice these people? Maybe that will give us enough breathing room that we can actually do something to really clear this up. Because the cabal, or whatever you want to call this group of people that have been trying to destroy America, just as I talk consistently about the Declaration of Independence, 1776, we're at that point again. We need to have a new Declaration of Independence. We need a clean house from top to bottom. And we start at the bottom is the easiest way with the ward republics. We start at the bottom with you and I cleaning up our local communities. What better way than doing and going around selling these air filters? Clean up, air filter, I think that kind of goes together, you know? And so everyone that is out there, so what? I contacted another person that's a veteran person that has been working with me on veteran projects, because we want to get as many veterans who are handicapped or been in any way harmed. We need to get help to them. And so we've been talking about how can we do. And, of course, I've always given preferential treatment to those who are veterans for the homeless shelters and et cetera. If it comes down to a choice between a veteran and somebody who's not a veteran, I'm sorry, but I will be a little bit prejudiced in that realm. I will give it to the veteran. They've already proven themselves to put themselves in harm's way, and we should be protecting our veterans, which are many of them are aging now and are not being taken care of as proper. So I see these air filters as something that Tom Carey sees, and I'm beginning to see This is a way to reach the people in a way that can create a mission, that this becomes a religious movement around this planet to clean up and eliminate evil at any place we find it, whether it be a bacteria, whether it be the ozone depletions, whatever it needs to be. We've got to clean our air up, because after all, we are air-breathing species. We need to have the ability to breathe clean air, and we do not need to be deprived of it no matter where we're at, even if we are captured in a hospital room at this particular time. Whatever needs to be done needs to be done. And we need to find a financing way so that people can truly do this, even if they got bad credit. You know, they're talking about doing another stimulus check. Well, maybe instead of that stimulus check, they should be putting air filters, or saying that this is going to be used for that. Maybe we need to make some wiser choices about where that money goes. If we're going to go into further debt, and we're not the ones that are doing this, we the people do not have a debt. This is a banker's debt. It has nothing to do with you and me, okay? It has to do with the Federal Reserve System that got us in this mess, and all the other financial banking systems and et cetera. We are a debt-based society, and the banks are the debt people, okay? They are living off of us. We need to have our own banking system. We, the people, that are in control of it, and that's about to happen. So many things are in the works, but we had hoped that we would have another 4 years to be able to do this with grace, elegance, and ease. If what we need to happen is the Insurrection Act, and that stops this dynamic, then so be it. But otherwise, you and I can't give up no matter who gets into office, because it is local home rule. It is you and I being self-governors and taking on local home rule. And I think we can do it. So, Peter, we only have a few minutes left. I know I've said a lot of things. Is there any of that you want to correct or add to?
Nope. Everything you said is spot on. So the only thing that I would add to it is a long time ago, I got a couple of fleeting thoughts, but a long time ago, I had learned relative to my own personal success in direct sales and direct sales management. If it's something that's going to mean something to my own personal success, I need to get personally involved. Meaning, don't leave it to chance, get personally involved. So if it's like a matter of a bank deposit being made, if that's going to be the difference between your personal success or not based on it being on time, if the bank deposit has to be made before 5 o'clock, then, you know, I get personally involved and I'll do it myself. So when it comes to filing my taxes, I still take that. I'm the person who actually watches the postman post the stamp mark on it at the post office. I don't leave it in my mailbox for anything for maybe to be chanced where it might not make it. So if it's up to be done and it really determines my level of success, I get personally involved. So having said that, then you would see why I'm so excited about these air filters that help kill coronavirus as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. I can't control the air in lots of other places, but I certainly can control what goes on in my home, in my car, in a hotel room if I was there, to the best that anybody can control it. So I'm not naive enough to think that I have the ultimate control. That would mean that I'm ill and I'm mentally unstable and I don't get it. There's no ultimate control. I control the things I can, statistically speaking. So when we came out with these things, I said, you know what? I'm going to control the most we possibly can, and if it's good for me, it'll be good for our customers as well. And that's one of the reasons why I said, you know what, I can't control what anybody else is doing as they're walking into Walmart or a restaurant. I can control when I go into those places, if I go into those places, what I do when I go to those places, but I can also minimize the contamination that might happen as a result of whatever's in my house. So that's why I did the things that we did with the mobile units and the stuff that we're doing with the home units as well. And because I have the opportunity to share that story with lots of other people, I don't have to keep it myself. So if I did keep it myself, that would be totally okay for me. I don't have to. I could share this with lots of other people that think this way. So while lots of other people are worried about, whether they have a bandana or a cloth diaper over their face or not, you can get into all those types of things. You want to take a vaccine, you don't want to take a vaccine, totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Those are personal decisions that you make, but I'm making the personal decision that we are getting actively involved in killing the things that we need to kill, not just the coronavirus, but cold, mold, and flu stuff and other influenza and whatever else might be around. This stuff will do it, and it's been FDA approved. So that's my little 2 cents into that, and that gives me control, or at least the feeling, the better feeling, and the realistic level of control that I need, Darlene, for me and the people that are important to me. And if the other people want to do whatever they want to do, it's their life. They get a chance to do it. I'm tired of people trying to control what I do. And as far as the stimulus package, I think it's ridiculous that we see people begging for their own money back. They're begging for their own money back. What a weird, twisted, sick, perverse perception that they've been able to sell us on. They're begging for their own money back. How sad. If you don't see that, there's nothing I could do to explain it back to you. So back to you.
I agree. Exactly, and that's why it's so important for us to have what I'm going to be announcing further and further into this is what I'm calling the new USAs. And maybe I was going to talk about it this week, but I decided no, there are a few more pieces that I need to put into place, including, I won't say that. I don't need to. Anyway, somebody needs to be contacted that has to know about what we're actually doing at the ground roots and be able to develop this dynamic of understanding that there is a solution out there and has been a solution out there for many eons of time, and that we haven't taken advantage of it because we haven't understood Marketing 101. Maybe the air filters are going to be a way that we will learn the skills of Marketing 101. That is where you are so good at. And so while we lead the way with these air filters, we're going to revitalize so many of the things that we had for marketing and et cetera, and the things that you kept alive. So I do salute you as being very, very valuable in this fight against evil in all of its crazy forms. I can't help but admire the Lucifers of the world. They start out well-meaning intentions, and they don't realize that sometimes we're just running ahead of God's plan. And so let's not be one of those. Let's take the time and do things with grace, elegance, and ease, and make sure we're doing no harm in the process. So
we're good to
I'm
go.
done for this time.
Yep, we'll check you out. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/ideal or Ideal Network, you'll be able to do that. And if you're interested in taking a look at those air filters, go to buildingfortunes.net, buildingfortunes.net/ideal. So buildingfortunes.net/ideal. Under the products, look for air filters, and you'll be able to see the things that Darlene is talking about, and take advantage of that stuff. And if you're interested in being a distributor, you can do that too. Kind of catch everybody next week on Building Fortunes Radio.
My phone number's on there.
What? Yep, phone number's there too.
My phone number's on there.
You've been listening to the Ideal Network Radio Show on BuildingFortunesRadio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out the BuildingFortunesRadio.com website to hear more segments with Darlene Sartore and Peter Mingles. Darlene encourages everyone to join the Ideal Network so you can say, I live the ideal life, where I do everything around life, love, liberty, and laughter. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. Darlene, Peter, and I want to say thanks for listening and ask you to spread the word. Tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.